Welcome to the 9th Islamic Finance Summit. I'm Paul Wallace from Euroweek, and with me is Dr. Mohammad Alchaar, Secretary General of IOFI, the accounting and auditing organization for Islamic financial institutions. Dr. Alchaar, welcome. Dr. Alchaar, how important is it for the Islamic finance industry to consolidate sharia practices globally?
Well, I think it's one of the core requirements for the system to prevail and to be built on solid foundations is to standardize the system for everyone to do the same thing, to get engaged in the same practice, to have the same structure, to have the same procedures and the same executions. So it's fundamental for the success of the system to have standardized procedures, ways, and structures.
How much do standards differ globally? Is there a big difference, for example, between practices in the Middle East and those in Malaysia and Indonesia?
Well, there are some variances in terms of practice, and this is due to the differing schools of thought behind those practices. But I would say in structure, they're pretty much similar to each other, but maybe in executions, in some of the offerings, and some of the use of the products, maybe there's some differences, but in terms of structure, I think we're all pretty much the same.
What have been the main problems you've had trying to implement standard practices over the last few years?
Well, there hasn't been a great resistance. There has been some kind of hesitance, and this is due to the lack of understanding of the system. So we always felt that there is a need to demystify what we do. It's a new and emerging system. It is still maybe embryonic in some places, and you need to do a lot of explanation for people to accept what you are bringing to the table. And but every time we had a chance to explain our case, we've been extremely successful in getting the authorities convinced that this is a viable tool for them to have in the economy.
And has the financial crisis of the last few years emphasized more clearly than ever the need for sharia practices to be standardized across the globe?
Well, it was partly, yes, partly so, but I think the financial crisis was, pretty much for everyone. We all suffered from the financial crisis, and we all learned our lessons as well. So we're part of the economic system, we're part of the economic cycle. We get impacted, and we can, impact the economies we're in, and we're subject to all the economic upturns and downturns. So definitely we have benefited from the economic crisis in terms of improving our function, improving our structures and execution process.
Are sharia standards becoming more respected globally?
Well, our sharia standards constitute the financial engineering of the whole system. So I can tell you with confidence that all banks do follow our sharia standards. And some of them, as I mentioned, might deviate in terms of executions, in terms of features of the products, but they really do constitute the manual for all sharia-compliant products.
What is the biggest single issue that IOFI is trying to tackle today?
Well, it's always been the harmonization process. We would like to see this market being harmonized. We believe the only way we can spread the system and the only way we can have the system provide its benefits for the participants is through harmonization. Any deviation in practice or deviation in structure, we think will be extremely harmful for the system, for us to market it and for us to gain the credibility needed to become a viable system everywhere.
Does it become more difficult to standardize sharia practices the more Islamic finance grows?
Just to the contrary. I mean, I think the sharia standards become easy to use and practice because they complement each other. Every time we issue new standards, and they do complement the standards that were previously issued. So the whole thing becomes integrated into a bigger financial system that has all the checks and balances through those sharia standards. So it's a lot easier. It facilitates better use and better execution of financial products.
How do you see Islamic finance changing over the next few years?
I think we'll come closer to the economic reality of things, and we will probably go deeper into the financial deepening process. We'll have to, go to areas that we weren't we haven't been into, like microfinancing is one of the areas. Financing small and medium enterprises, that this is something that we will most likely get engaged into. And the most important area we have to get in is the secondary market area. We have to have an efficient secondary market for purpose of providing liquidity, for having a liquid market, and for completing the liquidity cycle. We need to work on the development of a secondary market, and this is underway.
What do you think are the biggest obstacles to creating a bigger secondary market?
Well, some people, find the system a bit foreign to them in terms of terminology, in terms of it is faith-driven system after all. So there might be some apprehension to accept the fact that this is a faith-driven system. And when you explain that this is an economic system like every other economic system with some different techniques and mechanisms, the acceptance we see the acceptance improving. It's like everything, you have to market it, you have to explain it, you have to demystify it, and all those functions we take on, doing with new markets, and we receive a lot of acceptance, slowly but surely.
Has the financial crisis been a setback for Islamic finance, or do you think it's given the industry a chance to prove its stability and strength in comparison with conventional products?
Well, I think the financial crisis affected everyone. As I said in the beginning, we are part of the economic cycle. We don't possess complete immunity to adverse economic conditions. And this is only healthy for us to go through this cycle. And like everyone else, we get hurt, and we learn, and we heal, and then we reposition, and we go into the market again. So this is a very healthy process. So we've benefited a lot from the crisis. As far as an opportunity for us, it presented an opportunity for us, but we believe that we can prevail on our own merits. And we don't need an economic crisis for us to prevail. In a nutshell, we would not accept rising over ailing bodies. We think we have enough merits. We have as much merit as the conventional banking system to become a viable alternative.
Dr. Nidal Alchaar, thank you.